Welcome to The Leaders Who Care, a podcast powered by Dynamis Group. We are here to give the stage and support to those committed to create a positive and lasting impact, way beyond the profits and margins, the leaders of the world who care for others and serve a bigger purpose. Join us on the journey of creating a better, more caring world. And now to your host, Marian Timelkov.
Happy Tuesday, dear audience. Today I have a pleasure and honor to welcome a very special guest, and I've been looking forward to that episode for quite some time. And today as you know, we're on a mission to bring together some of the most caring leaders from every corner of the world. And today, for the first time on the Leaders Who Care, we'll welcome a leader who actually will talk about mergers and acquisitions. He'll be the first one that we have on the podcast, and the first one from Belgium. So welcome, Jean-Michel Noé. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Marianne. I'm really greatly honored to be on the podcast that I've listened a few times. So I really hope that we will have a meaningful conversation.
I'm very sure, Jean-Michel, you've been one of those leaders that I honor for the work you do, but also as who you are in terms of a leader and a character. And I can't wait, really. There's so many questions we could talk about and interesting topics. But for the audience, it's not very often we talk about mergers and acquisitions. Probably for you it is on a daily basis, but for the audience, tell us, Lizzie, what is the kind of work you do? What does it mean to be really a group M&A, leader for the organization of this kind?
Yes, that's a great question. So merger and acquisition, everything is in the name. So it's about merger of companies and acquisition of companies. But of course, it goes beyond that, because at the end, it's mostly about investment. You will be managing investment projects from the sourcing of investment opportunities. You will meet people, convince them that there is a buyer, a seller, or there is a partner. Two partners wanted to do business together, and then there will be this consensus about, yes, we agree on what to do, at which price, and then there will be a lot of technicalities. We are speaking about due diligence, making sure that everyone invests in something that it's confirmed to what you want to invest, because initially people will deliver you information about the investment opportunity, but then you, as an investor, you want to check. So it's a due diligence. And then a bit later will come in, lawyers that will help you to make a nice contract. Because at the end, when you invest, you also expect people to commit on certain warranty in the past, that if something happened, you may or not, receive compensation. So merger and acquisition is actually a tool. It's a tool from the corporate strategy. So without strategy, there is no M&A. Otherwise, you would be like someone just putting money without having an investment strategy. So it's important to link your M&A strategy to the corporate strategy. So an M&A director will, with the senior management of a company, based on the corporate strategy, suggest place where to invest. Is that a country? Is that an activity? It will depend on the goal of the company. I'm working at Korian, which is one of the leading pan-European care operator, looking for elderly people, but also fragile people. But the M&A for us, it's mainly about diversification in geographies, so willing to expose and invest in different countries, but it's also about diversification of our activity portfolio. And from a care home operator with clinics, we went also to mental health. we went also to home care, and we went also to what we call alternative housing. And so the M&A has been, in that case, instrumental to help the corporate strategy to be where we want to be.
Wow, well, this I know this is, and thank you for explaining this and sharing really what it means in this context. I can imagine there's a lot of, when one company buys another, there's a lot of uncertainty, and that's why you were saying, of course, strategy is very important. The process, the technicality, everything matters. What makes the difference between a successful deal and a failure? What makes the success in CAM and the opposite, of course?
Yes, that's something I think every company, every M&A professional should be asking this question almost every day, because at the end, M&A is a process, and you get better by understanding what you could do better. So it's really constantly formalizing, understanding what did you miss in the past, how can you not miss it next time, to understand the context. So the success at the end, it will be mostly about two things. It will be about the human connection, because we are speaking about companies. We are not, just buying buildings. Yes, sometimes there will be a building in a company, but we are gathering two teams, and the first success is that after an acquisition, that people have stayed in the company you have acquired. Of course, you will have some people, leaving the company, because it's a natural way. People are not staying 10 years every year, so you will have a natural turnover. But I think a successful acquisition is an acquisition where you have retained most of the people, the key people certainly, and then we are speaking about investment. So at the moment, you need to create value, and the value creation, depending on how you look at it, is it financially, is it strategically? So you need to have, when you go into an investment case, what I call assumption of the investment case. Why did you go to that deal? Oh, I go to that deal because I was looking for new expertise. I was looking for diversifying in a nice segment with attractiveness and good profitability. But then you need, in your process after the acquisition, what we call at Korian, we call that the look back. You need to check, did you realize the investment case that internally you have presented? And you have to recompute everything. And if you were believing that your investment will reach that objectives, has it done it 1 year after the acquisition? And that's very important. So my experience about success of M&A, it's really about having a methodology, continuously improving the methodology, looking at the integration. That's also something important. I used to say that the M&A is spending the money because we are buying, but you need someone that will make the money that you believe that you were making, that you pay in the price. Because often the economic reality is that you buy something for, I don't know, is it 5, is it 8 or 10 years of profit, but behind the acquisition, someone has to manage a company and make that years of profit. Otherwise, you don't have an investment case. And so it's very important to not disconnect the acquisition process with the integration process. And so back three years ago, I think even 3 years and a half, at Korian, we have an integrated process, acquisition and post-merger integration, which are different teams looking at different things, where the due diligence is about risk management, value creation. The post-merger will be about what are all those little details that make things will go as planned. that you will not have business disruption, that you will realize maybe the synergy that you had identified and maybe pay for it in the case. And then for the next 6-12 months, the operations will know what to do, and they will not, there will not be a vacuum before you realize the transaction, and then we will think 3 months what to do with the acquisition. No, you need to reduce this gap, and the day one you should know at least the big lines of integration. And of course, you will refine once you own the company, you have more access to the people, and you will come with your process and finally have a successful integration. So successful integration is certainly also something to take into account.
Well, you just kind of really touched on that very important of the how does the planning for successful integration play a role in the preparation for the deal. That sounds like very important here because it reduces that gap of not knowing what to do.
Yes, and you need a specific people which have a different profile. Often there are people a bit more focused on processes, knowing well the operation, very good in project management, but as M&A expert, I would say. And you include them in your due diligence process, so quite at early stage, to make sure that they deliver the preliminary post-merger integration plan, which should be part of your investment case, and what in every company, a board or a general management would expect you to comment about what is after the acquisition. What are we going to do?
In your experience, are there any behaviors or really cultural signs that or values which could really break the deal?
Yes, that's an important part, but it's also the most probably the most difficult because we are on the soft side. So yeah, of course, cultural clash between two companies, that's what you doesn't want, because at the end it's like it's like if you put blood that is not compatible in your body, you will have a bad reaction and you may have to cut something. So you need to make sure that you are not in that case. So how to do it, because that's the question. The cultural due diligence topic has been in the literature. There are some books, not that much. There are some methodology, but I would say that if you have a big a global merger, if you have two companies being in 20 countries and they do those 20 billion merger, that's certainly you got the budget, because the size of the company, maybe there you can start to make surveys and trying to understand the values of each company, or you do that, you observe, you have those survey, you could by interacting with the management. On a smaller deal, we do it, but with less structure. The basic element, but not to be forgotten, is when you meet the management team of the target.
Yeah.
Do you like them? Do you see yourself working with them? Or do they behave like you say, oh, those are, I don't know, they are not ECG driven, they only think about profit maximization. It could be good, huh? I'm not judging anything, but if your company take care about the long term and you have people which are very short-term driven, then you may think that will maybe not work. So you try to understand the processes they have by looking at how they handle HR, the HR culture. Do they have values? What are those values? And at the end, when you collect all this piece of information, even if you don't have a full sociological framework, at the end you can express, I think it's okay, or I have a bad feeling here, and that maybe there you need to confirm. No, this is, I would say, the what if 90% of people are doing. At Korian, we have gone a step further. And you know it because we have co-creating this approach with Dynamics Group, what we call leadership due diligence. My experience in my former company, which was also an international company working in France, we tried this, this grit. So you ask the top management that meet the management of your target, let's score about, and you have 5 or 6, dimension, so that you force the people, like when you do an interview, you force them to look at certain things and to report, and then you collect those. But it's actually very difficult because it's not natural. The grit is never, it's never perfect. But then if you say no, but let's have an expert, someone who the job is to assess the human capability, the personality, the motivation, and let's include it as a part of the due diligence, what we call leadership due diligence, which of course there will be always, your management, your CEO, your EVP having more business experience, and as a manager that will have this feeling, and that's important because at the end this has a lot of value. But you will also have an external expert looking at the CV, looking at the track record, having an interview. We are not speaking about a full assessment. It's not possible. In a process, in M&A process, the time dedicated, the time available, they still need to manage a business. So you cannot just send the full management team for 2 days in an assessment center, but 1 hour with a leadership consultant, and then you get more data, and you can make a more sound decision. It will be never perfect because asymmetry of information between a buyer and a seller will always exist, but you reduce the gap, and then you have more feeling, and at the end it reduces the risk in your acquisition. That's my experience.
Well, thank you for bringing this. Of course, we're very passionate about the leadership due diligence. We believe this is really a very important part and an integral part of understanding people. And during one of your interviews for a French magazine, you talked about that M&A is about understanding people or people's business. And what did you actually mean about that? Because here the two are very closely linked, and how did that leadership due diligence have helped you in these processes?
It's a people business. It's clear. Huh? Some people would say it's about finance, it's about financing, it's about valuation, but at the end, there is a owner of a company. It could be a real owner, an entrepreneur who has created the company. It's his baby. He has been working 10, 20 years, has been very successful, because otherwise you will not look at his or her company, and so that's really an emotional link to the company. And often they care a lot about their people, having help with the development. Even private equity. Sometimes I'm astonished by, sometimes they are seen as the vil financial people making fast money. Often I have people who care about the follow-up of the company. So they want to sell the company to a corporate like us, but also with the goal that the management is happy, because their reputation to attract the best management team will depend of the exit as well. Because if you want, as a manager, partner with a private equity to grow a company, you will make calls and ask, how did they behave? Are they, very financial, or do they also take care of the management team? So that is, so the people business, it's because at the end, we are in a room, even if there's a lot of papers, a lot of Excel, it's about 2 or 3 people that need to trust each other in the process, because it's a complex process. when you invest, you could invest 5 million, you can invest 50 million, you can invest 1 billion, and for any problem in the negotiation, it can kill the project, because maybe the seller doesn't want to sell to you. Yes, money is important, and that's why we say that M&A is a people business, because at the end, your reputation as negotiator, your reputation as a buyer, as a company, that will bring you opportunity, hopefully off market. It's not easy. It's different country by country. There are countries where they always take an investment bank or an M&A advisor, but there are countries where the relationship is important, because confidentiality. You maybe as an owner, you don't want that your people that have been working with you hear that you are selling the business. It could create stress. So your best people could decide to leave because they are uncertain about what would be tomorrow. So what is the best solution to that? It's not to go to someone who is contacting 100 investors and saying this company is on sale. I can tell you this type of process, the secret, it will be leaked by someone who don't care about this, and to make it fun with a journalist, he will just leak the information, or a specialist database, so the M&A community will know. And it's so confidentiality and buyer reputation are linked, and your reputation is about how you handle yourself in the process. If you sell me something like your house, and I come to you and I say, okay, I'm buying this house, I'm interested, and this house is 500K, could be dollar, pound or euro, we don't care. And then at the beginning, you were not selling the house, but you find me, okay, in 500, it looks. I open the door. I let you visit all the house, my bedroom, my attic, and then I will start to say, yeah, but the wall there's a scratch on the painting. Yeah, but the room is a bit small, and I will find a lot of excuse to explain you that it's not 500K, it's 300K. How do you feel? You will feel, betrayed, because I have lured you that you open your house on the premise that it was 500K. But we heard a lot of investors doing that, because then they have opened the house, and then the word is spread on the streets that you are selling the house, and then you cannot go back, and then you are a bit hostage of this buyer who say, no, it's not 500, it's 350, and you will have to do this. And that's why it's not easy to do that in all situations, but in most of the situation, you should stick to my view, and it's shared by some of my colleagues, of course. To my view, you need to commit on your word. And yes, if you find something bad with the house, you tell it. You are not going to just commit to the word because financially it's not making sense. But you are not playing. You are not playing in the relationship. And that's, if you're on the market, then the people who are selling the house, or let's talk now about the business, they are selling you the business. And the next year, they meet another owner, and he will tell the story. Yeah, I have sold to Korian, and it was Jean-Michel having led the process. And yes, you can trust them. It will take time, because they have all this due diligence, and you have leadership due diligence. You have to agree that they meet your management team. Which, just for the story, Marianne, it was not easy. Before we started this leadership due diligence, I've called many of my investment banker friends. And I asked them, because they're organizing those auctions, and they see a lot of buyers like us. When you have a company to sell, they contact 20, and then 5 put an offer at a certain level. It's how it works. And I'm saying, do you see that leadership due diligence? And mostly they say no, and sometimes they say no, but it's not acceptable. It's too disruptive. But when you explain, then things start. And they know it's how you are working. They will convince their client to give you maybe not everything you want, but to give you enough access to make you comfortable. And at the end, it's good because they know that you have a good reputation, and they are not giving you this access to hear the week after, oh, sorry, I'm not interested. The stock market has moved by 2%. So if it's 15%, it's maybe a different story. But it's important to commit on, and that's why it's a people business. It's about lead negotiators that trust each other. When there is a difficulty, let's be transparent. We have an issue. It's a common issue. Can you help me to solve it? And that should be the spirit.
Oh, thank you so much, Jean-Michel, for explaining that. That's really helpful, and I can imagine how, in a way, disruptive or innovative this may be, and it may not work in the wrong hands or intention, because if you just go in and with the idea to kind of downplay, it's clearly not, but it's designed to do exactly the opposite, of to reassure success, to really understand people and take care of them. And it's been really an honor and privilege to work together to develop and really improve it as a process and as a tool. What difference has it made to you when those leadership due diligence are carried out? How does that help you?
Right. Clearly, it gives us a feedback about the quality of a management. So it's one of the essential questions. And then, of course, the next question will be, and how are we making sure that everyone stay on board? And that's more about management incentive plan. It's about alignment to the strategy, to the culture. But it's one step, and it has been a collective thinking, because it's never an individual story. It's the meeting with you and Dynamics Group is our management, challenging us to go the extra mile. And at a moment in the room, it's come like, okay, let's try that. And that's important, and it's maybe the privilege to work for a leading company, is that we invest time, we invest money, we try new way of working to get better. Because at the end, in operation, in healthcare services, it's about patient experience, it's about quality of care. But when you are managing an investment process in a healthcare company, it's also about do it with care, having this culture of plan, do, check, action, this quality, constant improvement. It's like that. We have done that with leadership due diligence. I've done that with the integrity due diligence and integrity and compliance due diligence. We are adapting our way to do the due diligence to take the ESG approach into consideration, and that's the what I want for the team working at Korian in M&A is to tell them, yes, we are amongst the good team on the market, and you it's also your responsibility to develop and make the company better, because there are many academic studies that show that in M&A, to get better, you need to formalize. So why not do it? Because otherwise, when I will be gone, maybe one day, I hope not, I have a lot of patience for what I'm doing, but if the people are leaving a company, it's not about what they have done, but it's what they leave to the company. And when you step in a role and that you found almost nothing on the server, that the methodology is not there, it's really beautiful, because you can build that. And I like that. What I have did at Korian, I don't know if someone didn't put the file on the server before leaving the function, but it what I bring to Korian, and I think that's why they were interested in my profile, because I've done that at Deloitte in Belgium, to build a team and work on those process. But you need to every month, every year, you need to continue. Even in finance in general, but M&A is more than finance. It's about strategy. It's about process. It's about the human side, as we have explained. Most of the tool that we are using, like the discounted cash flow, Excel, they are there since the 80s, 90s. The methodology, we didn't reinvent the valuations. All the books are always the same. And sometimes there are people who try to option valuation, but okay, in practice, we are using the same method than 15 years ago. So what makes the difference? It's about the management of the process and what we have said here: post-merger integration, leadership due diligence, having this full scope, but the capacity also to sometimes step back and saying, I know enough. I don't need to go too much in detail, because speed of execution is also important. And that's to strike this balance. We really need to be agile and flexible. And you can do that when you know your methodology and you know when you have reached the risk assessment that you need for this specific case.
Oh, thank you for sharing those insights, Jean-Michel. For those who are obviously watching, and these are CEOs and also leaders on executive level, what would be your advice? What should they really consider? What's the future of M&A looks like? Because you mentioned some really practices that they may exist, but combining them in a several different ways or new ways, they bring innovation, they bring really value. And so one end is what the future of M&A looks like, and what would be your advice for leaders and CEOs to consider today?
Yeah, I think M&A is there to stay. So I see over time it has been increasing a lot. The value of M&A, every year we see the numbers are the market. It's bigger and bigger. It's still a quite specialized function in a company. So in a company like Korian, you have 60,000 employees. And we are like maybe 20 people doing M&A, so it's a tiny proportion. So the market of M&A specialists, it remains quite and it's a market which is a bit sensitive to the economic cycle. So when you have a financial crisis, M&A just must stop. And so staying in M&A is sometimes for 25 years could be a challenge, because of those economic cycle. But M&A is a nice place to learn the company, because you need this 360 assessment. You're not looking only about legal, finance, but also marketing, quality, operation. And so the tool of M&A is there to stay. I would say that due to the internationalization of the world, the new segment, I would say the market is evolving, and there are different types of M&A. But and if you look at the technology side, it's often about acquisition of skills. It's about speed to market. Big groups are very good at managing, at investing, but not good at creating. Of course, they will try. There will be innovation department. There will be manager with entrepreneurial skills. But if we look at the scale of what a big group is willing to do, and if we take pharma, that's a good example. They are buying a biotech because the research and development are done in smaller team with a different, the financing is a bit more risky, which may be not compatible with a listed status, a PLC status. So the M&A help to navigate the change on the market. And also I see that more and more, due to the interconnection in the world, that if China is locking down for 2 weeks, you have a problem at the port, but then you don't have the napkins maybe, and you get, the supply chain is disrupted. So everything is connected. But I see that more and more people want to diversify and saying that we are active in that sector, but maybe we want to, in case of downturn, to have no, in finance we call that a lower beta profile, so to be less sensitive to some trends on the market. And the M&A, it's a good tool to do that. So acquisition of skills, diversification, and then grow. And that I don't want to enter in a philosophical debate, but growth is often an answer for a lot of things. It's an answer to keep the talent, because you have a nice journey and challenges. So growth, you keep ahead of the game in your sector. Growth, investor like growth, because they don't need to change to find another opportunity. They know that their money is reinvested. Growth is for in healthcare, for the government. We are partnering. It's good because then we reinvest. We put the capacity for the care homes. We build clinics. So we are helping the society with that. So growth is a good answer, and M&A, it's a good tool to grow.
We have a question here, actually from Elise, who we both honor, and she's been really instrumental in the leadership due diligence. And she's saying, would you say that the approach to M&A is different depending on your industry?
You will have obviously some specificity per sector, more on the due diligence. You are not looking at the same KPI if you're in service business that if you are buying a factory. If you are buying a software company, the intellectual property part, the talent part will be very, very strong. But I think the backbone, the methodology is common to all the sectors, and the behavior is probably the same. You will have in some certain industry a need to understand the concept, the vocabulary. For myself, in the past, I've been investing 5 or 6 years in innovation, technology, and it's difficult to go to biotech if you don't know anything about biology or chemistry, depending or is it a green biotech or is it a pharma biotech, and so sometimes you need to have this connection with the activity that make you effective in what you do. Otherwise, you may have a learning curve. But with time, I think, and often people working in M&A, they are kind of fast learner, so you can catch up. So I would not say it prevents you, but it's true that there are some sector that sector specialists, and biotech is an example. IT, you have this vocabulary. If you don't know what are the different technology, you are at a disadvantage. But for most of the process and the skills, I think, and we see that. We see people, going from retail gardening to automotive, because and it's a bit like Korian has been doing. I had a little experience in healthcare. I was not an healthcare specialist 4 years ago. Now I think I know quite a lot of segments across different geographies, but they approached me because I had some experience in M&A at small deals, medium deals, and bigger deals. I had experience buy side as transaction specialist or due diligence specialist. I had a little bit of tax, and I had M&A advisory. So I think the experience is maybe not across the sector. It's more about the segment. It's preferably to be scalable, because today, yes, companies are not just doing big deals. They most often they do also mid-market deals and very small deals. And that's, I think, what needs to be done to be able across the sector to transfer your know-how.
Well, and the second question from Ellie, and she's appreciating. Thank you for such an insightful discussion, Jean-Michel. Clearly, you've been instrumental in your company's growth over the years. Do you find that acquisition for the purpose of entering new markets are more challenging than a bolt-on acquisition in existing territories from an integration standpoint?
Yeah, it's a different game, because a new market is new, so you don't know the market. So of course, first you will have what I call a kind of a business development campaign where you learn the market. But it's not that you have 2 or 3 years to learn the market. You want to invest in that market. So it's not about your knowledge of the market. It's about your ability to connect quickly to the right person in that new market, to make a good choice of those person. Often there could be professional advisor, but could be also people inside some business network that have the connection. You need to align interests to make sure that people are helping you, but you need to be sure that you are dealing with the right person, because if you don't know the market, you're a bit like in the dark. So you have to have a good lamp and a reflex. So I'm not saying it's a new market is not the jungle, but you have to be a little bit of experience, and that's what I like, is to be sent in a new geography, and you start from zero. Sometimes you speak the language, but it's not possible to speak 200 languages. So sometimes you only can speak English, and sometimes you speak English, but they don't. But you will find a way to communicate with them, or to make people around you with translator, to make sure that you can do your business. And you need to have very good reflex, which are more principle. And over time, I was surprised to see that, yes, when you have experience with one market, and then you have experience with a second market, and then with a third market, that you find out that you have a kind of framework that help you to navigate without committing, too much mistake. You will commit mistake, but you need to invest in the right experts, not to commit too much mistake. You need to take the time to make the right analysis. And of course, when you enter in a new place, don't expect to find the best investment opportunity right away, because the best investment opportunity was not there, just awaiting someone who doesn't know the market. So often the first opportunity are what is left on the shelf and was not sold to others. But you know that, and you learn, and then you say no, and then one day, and it could take 6 months. It's not about years, and you will have the right opportunity, but it will be still risky, because the first, it's what are you looking for? You are looking for a platform. You are looking for a team that knows the market, and so the next deal, you will have friends, business friends, that is working for you, and they can help you to move forward. So good advisor, capacity to decode the market, and like everywhere, there is some key players, and the market is a bit, the structure is not the same. It is often the stereotype of structure of market, and you get there, and you invest, and then for the post-merger integration, it's your process, and of course you don't have the specialist in-house. When 4 years ago, enter Korian, 6 months later, we opened Spain. Did we send a French specialist in Spain? No, because it's different. But you find a local expert, and maybe you ask your French expert to help you to select the Spanish expert. But you need to have someone who knows the regulation in the country. You need someone who knows the reputation of the target. A lot of things is around reputation. you know, in my early days, I had the chance to be at the board of director of my business school in Brussels, ISHEC Brussels Management Business School, and there was the president of the board. It was Etienne Davignon. It was someone who has been ambassador in Belgium, and he was at the board of director of many companies. He was a bit the kind of guy, you know, when there was a big file like, you know, Sabena, SN Airlines going in trouble, and he was sent by the government to fix things. And I was like 18 or 19. At that time, I was president of the student organization. And so to give my team a kind of incentive, I managed to get him in a restaurant with our team of student representatives. It was really a gift that he has accepted that. And at that time, I remember he was negotiating with Richard Branson about something about those airlines. But okay, that's just for the story. But he gave us, all of us, a piece of advice that I have internalized that, because it came from a very experienced businessman having done many negotiations. And he told me it's all about trust. And we're coming back to this people business and those negotiators that trust each other, that when there is an issue, we will find a solution. Now, there is this book called Hostage at a Table. A negotiation is that. Yes, you can leave the table, but then you have no deal. So we are kind of hostage, because I want something, you want something, we want the same, but we need to find the right settings. And he told me it's about trust. And I said, okay, and have you ever been betrayed? And he said, yes. But you know, when someone at this level is telling that, you probably think that he has betrayed on a $1 billion deal. And then I say, so, and why? What is the result of that? Say, yeah, you need to continue to trust people, otherwise it's not working. I say, okay. And then later, I find out that the basis of the game theory, when you have this prisoner dilemma, I'm not a game theory expert. I just have, I remind myself that it's a little, probably with a computer, and they make two players interact, and you trust, you get, you get positive points, like 2 or 3 points. You can betray, so you cheat actually, and you get more points. And then they make that in a system, a computer system, and they make the game 10, 100 times. And they find out that the optimal game is to trust. But if you have been betrayed once with the same player, you should not give your trust anymore, because otherwise, it's like you are scammed by someone, not twice. Huh? And that's for me, it has been one of these piece of wisdom. Trust is, you need to have trust. But of course, for an investment specialist as me, where I need to do a due diligence, and that maybe I connect to some other advice, trust but verify sometimes.
Jean-Michel shared really great insights and advice, and we're really grateful for that. And what I take here is, on one end, trust and care basically are really important here, and they go very closely hand with hand. And if I look at it, what is caring leadership means to you?
Caring is, I think it's about the other. Huh? So as a leader, and often in your young age, you start with technical skills, and especially in my field, when you start in a big four, you learn accounting, financial analysis, valuation. But at the end, as a leader, it will be more about caring about the other to develop themselves, their potential, and that's about the team. So caring is also in a commercial relation, could be about listening. So for me, caring, is it empathy? Is it showing interest? Is it not to be the smartest guys in the room all the time? Leave people find their way. Um, the questioning. That's I've been thinking long about the fact that I had a part of my career. I have told you that in M&A you have ups and downs. So in 2008, the financial market totally crashed, and I was working in one of these leading private investment bank in Belgium, and I was the last one to enter the department, and somehow M&A was not there for one, I don't know. The activity was reduced, and I went to private banking, and I found there that taking care of private banking clients, it's about listening to the client and asking the right question. But you can apply that. It's probably what coaches are doing. They are not telling you what to do. They are asking you to think about what you can do. And I think caring leadership is probably about that. Is that we all become kind of coach for each other, and there is no the master coach. One has the truth. No, it should be embedded in the culture of the company. But caring is about team player as well. It's about everyone has its objectives, but at the end, it's we are working for the same company. So caring is about caring for the company, but the company is not alone. The company is in an ecosystem. So is caring leadership also about stakeholder, that you have and for Korian and our CEO Sophie Boissard has a really a precise vision about that. It's about your footprint, not only on the environment but on the social side. Yes, economically you have investors, they have objectives. Some are short term, some are long term, but sustainability development, that's not it's not about greenwashing. It's about in 20 years, will your business still be there? Will you still attract those millenniums and on those young generation that not only have hard working and making money, but also the purpose of what are you doing every day? Why are you doing it? You're not just doing it for making the money. Yeah, maybe some people, but mostly you're waking up every day to not to make a difference. That's a bit a startup, but you make because you know that at the end you are not doing evil. You are doing something that is in line with your value. And if you are working in a company or you're not in line with value, you just need to change job. That's important.
Well, fantastic. And you're working obviously in one of the most caring companies in the world. And just I also want to honor here Sophie Boissard, the CEO of Korian, is one of the most caring CEOs out there, not because of the business itself, but with the leadership and the way you approach things. And looking at really that aspect, because you were not in healthcare before entering into healthcare, how did that impacted you? What is it? How does it feel to work for a caring business, for really, because you take care of vulnerable and fragile people and elderly care patients? That is much more than business. This is really a mission and conviction.
Yes, and I have to be very humble because we are hiring people where they have caring in their in their art, because their activity is to care about people. I'm here about speaking about caring leadership on an M&A process. So I'm really grateful to work within a company that the mission is to help elderly people and fragile people to improve their quality of life, and even when the circumstances are not easy. I see every day that the people in our facilities, they are there for that. And of course, you will have people who are there for the money. Yes, I understand that. But most of the people cannot last in what they do if they don't care. and that's part of the strategy to attract the caring, not only leaders, the caring employee, because what I learned from looking at investment in healthcare services, you can have 1,000 pages of analysis. It comes down to one thing: who is managing this center? Is that person a caring leader? Does he has management skill? Does he has maybe someone with a care background? If he has not, and those two people will make a success, that the residents are happy or that the patient are happy, and that everything is for everyone at the same at the right level. So how does it feel? I would say I feel useful to the society. I feel grateful to work in that team, because my experience comes from the many contacts I have with all the senior executives at Korian. You don't build yourself. You can read books, you can watch podcasts, but at the end, it's not in a course. It's not at the university. It's this day-to-day transmission. We are can all a bit of artisan in a way, that we own our skills, we own our soft skills, and we learn. And so you have to make sure in your life that you're working with people that help you to develop. And one day you will wake up, or you are wake up, but you will just realize that you are there. You don't know how. Yes, because after 20 years, and you got all this little piece of gem that you can collect here and there, and you find out that sometimes you think, my boss would think about that, and then you will hear, 2 years ago he was saying that, and I say he was right. Yeah. And so that's working in a caring company and amongst caring leader, that I think makes a difference. I'm not, it's not about selling, soft drinks or sugar. That it's, but that's my personal view.
Thank you, Jean-Michel. Just to a couple of more really points here, and the final questions. You mentioned recommended a book earlier, but if somebody is looking to advance in the M&A fields, or could be peers, but also maybe future audience or students that may be pursuing a career. I know you're very passionate about helping the future generation, paving the way, which is really a great honor to you. What would be your advice? What are the top 3 books that you might recommend for people to take a look and really read?
Yeah, very good question. So I think first I have to honor a professor, Damodaran, which is teaching at New York Stern University, because he has been very proactively and pro bono sharing all his course and a lot of data that even commercial investment banker are looking at. And he has a website, and you can find 10 years of teaching about valuation and M&A. Often very, very correct, sometimes a bit theoretical, but that is a good basis. So I know that sometimes he do some courses, but he give everything for free. Video, you have 100 hours of courses. So that would be my first advice. It's free for everyone, and it's a global guru in valuation. Then
what's the website? The name of the professor again?
Damodaran. I don't have the website but I think Google Damodaran, Professor Damodaran, New York.
We'll publish it on the Leaders Who Care later.
Yeah. We can put maybe the link. I used to offer to some of our new team member a book called Valuation. It's done by McKinsey. It's about corporate valuation. I don't have in mind the name of the authors, but they are I think at the seven edition.
Yeah.
So it's one of the major book with more corporate valuation, more big firm perspective. Very very interesting. It's 500 page, but you don't need to read them in once. So that will be my second. Then a third one, I have to think about it.
You mentioned the hostage, hostage at the table.
Yeah, you need to have at least one book about negotiation, and hostage at the table is a very good one. There are others, so
Thank you.
like some business professional have got 100 of those books, but you don't remember all the time the titles.
Wonderful. No, we'll publish those resources later today. And final question, Jean-Michel, what is your really future or view for a brighter future? What do you wish that happens to us? What is the kind of optimistic view? If you put your kind of green hat or optimistic hat.
Yeah, a few years ago, I told myself, be in business, don't do politics. But there is one or two topics I hope that we will find a solution. But it's out of my hand. Okay, we can have some action at everyone at this level. But clearly, climate change, and I know we talk a lot about it, but I think at the moment we need to take care about that. There is a roadmap at international level. There is a scientific consensus. I know that the lobbies are very powerful. At Korian, we invest in new buildings. We go for this energy efficiency. We take those goals very seriously. But in my private life, I would say that I'm concerned about that. So I hope to be very positive, because optimism is what drives also the hope that it will get better, that we will find a way not to mess up with the planet. Then a second one, it's about, and I think in most of the political debate I see in the different countries, why nobody is tackling the international tax optimization issue. You have to be as a citizen, you pay tax. As a corporate, you pay tax. Korian, we are paying 33 or 40% of tax. We are not looking at going to Cayman Islands and putting some revenue of license. Let's be responsible. We have a local activity. We are partnering with states, but all the companies should do that. And that's for me. I really hope in the future that there will be more fairness in the world.
I love that.
I don't know if you are expecting that, but I give my full concern for the global economy.
What a really great insights, and thank you so much for really taking the time and sharing so much value. It's really been fantastic, and I hope the audience also will find a lot of those insights useful, and will list the resources that you mentioned. And we wish you a great rest of the year, and keep spreading that positivity and word. And thank you for really your contribution to making a difference in the M&A. It's really been a pleasure, and blessings to you and the team.
Thank you, Marianne, for having me, and I had a great time. And so let's, as you say, let's spread what we can all share with each other. I really like this spirit.
Thank you, Jean-Michel.